Hello. I know this is an off week. Where
Just do the NPR voice.
listen, I'm already doing it. Okay, I already started. Don't interrupt. Anyways, hey, what's up, you guys? It's Azif On Dragons. This is Lisa. That's Varun. You know what it is. It's the nerdy podcast. Whatever. We're putting out an episode on an off week because we just want to get in on the zeitgeist while it's still relevant. We want to talk just briefly, hopefully. It's whenever we say we're going to talk briefly, it's never brief, it's an hour. About the denouement of the OGL bullshit with Wizards and sort of our reaction on this chapter of the situation, and I want to get Varun's opinion on like what sort of predictions for here on out, just like how do you feel like people are going to take it from here? Because I have my thoughts, I have my opinions, but they're honestly kind of nothing. It's nothing that hasn't been said already. And I do want to say that, like, in the previous episode where we talked about it, I want to address that, like, I feel like maybe at points I sounded like as being too, like, oh, but think of the corporate, like, no, I don't want to sound like a corporate shill. I don't want to sound like I'm trying to defend Wizards too much, or at all. I'm not I hope I didn't ever sound like I was defending Wizards. I just have, this is really, it is just, I take issue with the way that, like, a lot of, like, the bigger content creators are, like, making videos and posts with, like, these really, like, inflammatory taglines, and I understand that that's how you get clicks. But, like, there is a certain way that this is being talked about that just really, it's kind of showing y'all's asses as, like, just, like, hey, get out of the fantasy of this world where, like, it's this big bad evil guy who is really concerned with what you're doing. Like, no, they're making their moves. They're not thinking about you at all. They're not purposefully trying, like, yes, the consequence of what they're doing is screwing you over and backstabbing you and blah, blah, blah. Like, yes, the consequence of their actions is hurting the community and hurting creators, but that was never their intention because they were not thinking about you at all. You are nothing. You are ants under the boot. That's my thing. That's my main like takeaway from this whole situation is that, like, y'all need to, like, you have made your presence known, and that is something to celebrate. Because obviously what happened is they backed off and went, oops, we should not have touched this at all. We're leaving it as it is. We're actually gonna, like,
Open it up even more.
Open it up even more. That was our bad. And
As a time capsule. As a time capsule, it's January 29, 2023, so 2 weeks since these leaks and whatever came out?
Yeah.
3 weeks, maybe?
3 weeks.
3 weeks, yeah.
Yeah.
So we saw an incredible, arc, essentially, of just all these proposed new changes to the OGL. Essentially, landlording on just D&D and G&D content in general from Wizards. And then an abrupt about face once it hit them in the bottom line. Yeah, like, oh, haha, they're backpedaling, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, of course they're backpedaling. Yeah.
Because, again, the community effectively mobilized and effectively used the thing that they gave us, that gave us the ability to take that away and take away that a principal stream of revenue for them, which is the D&D Beyond subscriptions, as a way to not just, like, because let's be clear, yes, there was a letter campaign, there was like signatures on a petition sent to them, there was a bunch of stuff sent to them, like when the first leak came out. They don't give a shit about that. You know what they gave a shit about? Is as soon as the D&D Beyond subscriptions vanished, that's what spooked them. Like, yeah, yes, of course it is. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and defend a corporation. I'm just saying that, like, the sort of the way that it's being talked about kind of just bothers me.
Yeah, some of that, the heroes beat the big bad, like the big bad,
like
the big bad is systemic capitalism, just like
and like I'm sorry, but this community is spoiled because they could have just gone ahead with their initial draft anyway.
Yep.
They did not need to backpedal at all. They did not need to do anything. They could have said, "Oh, you don't like it? Tough. We're gonna put it through anyway."
Yeah, like again, I'll go back to the video games industry. Like games used to cost $40-$50 new. Now, like $60 is the starting price.
Yeah.
For like loot boxes, which are just gambling put into games, but not called gambling. So they're trying to skirt regulation that way. Battle passes, selling you unfinished games, just like all sorts of unethical crap. That's just normal now. That because they pushed it for so long that just folks, especially kids just growing up now, just like, oh, that's normal. That's how games are. That's how video games are. Versus, yes, the D&D community of like very vocally, very directly making our presence known, and the fact that, hey, we can just move on. We have other stuff out there that's not D&D that hit them so directly. This is something I hear about. There's something I think about, I should say, when it comes to, in 2023, people talking about working conditions and talking about, like, general strikes and stuff. And, like, yes, in a macro sense, for labor to, like, get better working conditions, a general strike would work. But also, America's huge and so sprawling and so disconnected in a lot of ways that's very hard to do. That would be very hard to do if anyone even tried to organize that.
That's why like, for example, in the like film and TV industry, like when you go to different states, they have different like local unions for the different trades. Like if I got into like the costuming union here in California, that would not translate to New York or Atlanta. Like that's you do have to split it up in that way, but that's not the point.
I was gonna say on the to that same point, because there are local or just depending on like if it's a company or a community or whatever it is, like the way to make your voice heard and to actually enact change is to be strategic about it. Hit use whatever force you can, like force in quotes, like whatever influence or leverage you have on the places that are going to have the most impact. So yeah, everyone could have gone on on Twitter and like we could have had a lot of petitions, and if that was the extent of the mobilization for this, like you say, nothing would have happened. But because we all organized together, we all made our voices known and hit them in the bottom line, hit that revenue by getting rid of those subscriptions, the change came very swiftly. So, and this is kind of a more macro point about capitalism. If you want changes to be made, you've got to be strategic with your collective actions.
Yeah, it's just because I was also, I've been keeping up with, like, there's certain people who I watch their, like, YouTube videos and stuff, like, acting like they're surprised or, like, acting like they're confused as to why it took after the playtest polls for Wizards to be like, oh, most of you hate all of the changes that we're going to make, and would prefer that we left it alone and opened up the SRD even more. It's like, and then, like, the person I was watching was like acting, like faux. I can't tell. I have a hard time telling if they're fake confused or real confused. As to like, why are basically like the argument the person in the video was making is like, why are they confused? Why are they surprised by this? They got an open letter and a petition with 15,000 signatures saying exactly that, and it's like because they don't give a shit about an open letter and a
It's not even that. Like I don't think Wizards is, and especially the folks responding to this on the front line, are particularly surprised by the reaction that they got. Literally. Okay, so let's back up a second because we're kind of talking around what happened. So, yeah, this week they sent out a message saying that they're not touching the OGL. People can keep making D&D content, books, everything as they were before. And yes, they're even opening up the SRD to some new stuff, like you can now use rules around Eldritch Blast and that type of thing. But they also put that into a Creative Commons license, which is unrestricted, has no time limit, irrevocable. So they actually made the legal move of not just saying, okay, we're not going to touch it, and then just bide their time until, this dies down, like so many other companies do. And then, okay, then they're going to do it later on when, they think they can get away with it. Like, they legitimately put it out now that this can't go back. Like, this, the way that it is today.
We can't walk this back.
Yeah. So that's a very interesting way to go because, I think a lot of the folks from, the community side, D&D Beyond side from Wizards knew this stuff would not go down well. Right. So they're just listing out the percentages of, this many people didn't want to change this, would not publish work under a new OGL, under any of the rules that we put out. So not only... I think it's them very publicly saying for, naysayers, but also like potentially Hasbro up top showing, even if we went ahead with this, even if we had community involvement, the community does not want this to change at all. It would still be just a permanent, destruction essentially of the money that would come in for D&D. Like, you thought it wasn't making money before? Guess what?
No, you would just destroy it entirely.
Yeah. And that would eventually be the, like I mentioned last time, the trying to squeeze more money out of a smaller and smaller pool of customers. Yeah. So they don't want
the Netflix thing of like, why is my Netflix subscription $18 now? Why is it almost $20? Well, I canceled that a long time ago. I did my own, but like, my point, like, why is a Netflix subscription that much? Like, why are all of these subscription services going up and up and up? But it's because people are canceling it and they're trying to squeeze the money out of the people who are left.
Offering less and less and expecting more.
Exactly. It's the unsustainable nature of the way that we've chosen to do things.
Capitalism.
Yeah.
Again, I'll call it out. So now that they've actually done this, the reactions have been varied. There are some folks who are just like, woo, we won. And like in a very real sense, we did. Like I said, the Creative Commons license, like they can't take that back now. That's out there forever.
Right.
So yes, but there are other folks who are like, and I think this is kind of true, we won a battle in a war that we didn't know we were fighting, and now
how anamorphous of us.
And now we're all on it. Now we're all fighting. Now we're all on edge against Wizards, against any new schemes or new quote unquote gouging or whatever they perceive it as coming from this company. I polled a lot of the folks from like Reddit, my local gaming store, the Flynn's arcade Discord, and let me give you a couple quotes here from what I got. So, asking just about this whole situation, like how they feel, are they going to go into new systems? What's their reaction to the change, and then the rollback. Just quoting, these aren't my words, these are quoting some of the folks from the internet. Money grab, theft of original content, overall control of the market. Wizards of the Coast did not have a change of heart. They saw the loss of money that they were having with everyone leaving and had to try something to stop it. So the answer to your question is no. I don't have trust in them. I don't have a problem with the company trying to make money, but when you try to steal from your community, it's a bit much. We didn't win. The people in power are still the problem. They're trying to do damage control, but I think it's too late. Pathfinder sold more books in the last 2 weeks than they typically sell in a year. Talking about continuing on with D&D as a system, I've been playing the Fantasy Flight Star Wars game. I've got no interest in swapping for my 5e stuff. I'm just not going to buy new things from them and probably starting new games in different systems. I've seen that all over the place. People, Pathfinder, Fantasy Flight, GURPS, whatever it is, folks trying out new systems, liking them, and they're like, yeah, okay, this blew over, all right, but like, I don't want to go back because I like this new thing more.
Yeah, totally fair.
So the community reaction, like, Wizards, like, they did a good in that with the Creative Commons license, but they've so thoroughly, like, destroyed the goodwill that they've built up over, the last, like, 20 years or whatever it was, with just the first OGL, 5e, all D&D Beyond eventually coming in, like, all that was good stuff. And then,
one little move and they blew it all up.
Like, it wasn't a little move, but yeah, it was.
I know. I'm saying, in the grand scheme of things,
one that'll try to get it under the radar.
Yeah.
And that kind of begs the question of, like, why? And then you look at articles about Hasbro overall. I think it was, a few days ago that I saw an article about Hasbro laying off like 1,000 employees because...
That's happening a lot. So actually that thing about Hasbro, I actually have a friend who works for one of their, like, subsidiaries of their subsidiaries, and they've been having, like, labor cuts for months now. Like, there's barely anybody in, like in the department that my friend works at that, like, they got an email saying, like, there's more cuts coming, and he was like, well, who's left? Who's left to fire? Who's left to lay off?
Yeah.
But but it's not just Hasbro either. There's a lot of companies that are downsizing like that because I don't know what's happening.
Unsustainable growth. Companies can't make the projections that they, projected with selling things or providing services. So let's cut people and put their salaries toward revenue.
Yeah, there's the sense of a weird reckoning coming because, like, here in LA, for example, like, it's weirdly dry for production work right now. Like, there is still a lot going on, but it feels like there's not enough work to go around, actually, which is so strange.
I
just got a message from a friend of mine who had moved here, like, the year before I did, and he was basically telling me that, like, he will most likely have to move back to Florida.
Oh, wow.
By the end of this year. And that's crazy because he was working very consistently for the last year or two. And, like, over the last, like, few months, it just dried up. And, like, it's crazy. We're hitting, like, if we're going to talk about capitalism, like, there is something very strange happening, some sort of reckoning coming, like, in the coming, like, years, if not months, vis-a-vis just, like, also just the amount of unsustainable growth just that happened over the course of the last 3 years during the pandemic. Like, nobody has questioned yet how did companies manage to grow during this time, Like, so I think there's sort of like a pulling back of, like, everything that kind of blew up over the last couple of years.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of factors going into it. At least in like, I don't think we want to make this into an economics podcast because that's a much larger topic that I don't think you've researched for. But around the Wizards Hasbro thing, I think overall this whole push for changing the OGL, trying to get more monetization in this very ubiquitous brand, came from Hasbro saying, hey, we're kind of effed on the, we're in the red here, make more money. You're not making more money with this, with these books or whatever that are being printed with quote unquote our stuff. Make more money with that.
Find a way to be able to squeeze
blood from the stone.
Yeah, exactly.
So Yeah, I think there are probably some pretty nefarious purposes behind this originally, but now that it's over and dusted with, like, the system is in a better place than it was, especially for people wanting to create new stuff. There's even more, SRD stuff that you can use that you couldn't use before. Like, Warlocks are going to get so much new third-party stuff. But, like, yeah, as a community, or as I should say, like, with brand loyalty to D&D and Wizards, it was already kind of shaky with some of the stuff they were doing before this. Now it's probably at an all-time low. And they're going to have to restart that cycle of doing goodwill, proving that they're not going to be shitheels about this.
Yeah. One of the things that they're doing is they've reached out to a bunch of, like, content creators, and supposedly Kyle Brink, the executive producer, is going to be, like, having, I don't know if it's one-on-ones or if it's like a roundtable kind of thing, like basically like a Zoom meeting with a bunch of creators to talk about, like, what they can do, and get, like, direct feedback from, like, quote-unquote community leaders about what Wizards can do to, like, apologize, essentially. In, like...
Give us, like, a year of free adventures on D&D Beyond to start.
Right.
Free content.
Like, I
don't have to be big, but, like, something new. I
understand the instinct to not want to trust them, and, like, you shouldn't, but also, like it's again, I don't want to sound like I'm just being like, oh, feel bad for the company, but, like, I'm not. But I'm just saying, for, the human beings who, like, put their heart and soul into it, and, like, like, I'm sure that, Mr. Brink himself is not out here trying to swindle you. Yes, I know there was the whole thing with with them trying to twist the meaning of what irrevocable means. I don't, honestly, that's what they have, like, $1 million lawyers for. I don't know why you're confused. Like, like, people being like, oh, they post the one thing the one day, and then the next day they do a thing that shows that they, like, clearly are still trying to, like, sweep the leg on this. And it's like, yes, that's how this works.
They're a corporation.
Congratulations, have you been radicalized yet? Like, this is how this works. Why are you confused? Like, your job then as, like, as the community leaders, like, is to do what we've done. Like, we've done the thing that we need to do on our side as the community of like, making sure that they understand, no, you can't fucking do that to us. And we've done it. Like, do celebrate that, because something incredible happened here in this community, which is that, like, they tried to do the capitalism thing, and we said no, and they went, oops, yikes, our bad, we'll make it up to you. Yes, they will eventually try something else. Of course they will. That is how the game works. Stop acting surprised. And, like, just stop acting like, oh, we've defeated the Lich. Like, no, this isn't your nerd game. This is real life.
Like, the enemy isn't a Lich. The enemy is a system. Yes.
Now take this energy and go, like, fucking write your congressman. Go run for local office. I don't know. Like,
it's much easier than you think.
Yeah, like, go to, like, get involved in your local politics. Like, go take this energy and what you've learned here and go apply it so that, like, other, aspects of real human life can be improved in the way that we've clearly shown that we can do with smaller things. Like, this is a smaller victory. This is a small victory in the grand scheme of things of, like, you've won something. And, like, again, I don't want to, like, take away from any sense of victory anybody has, but let's be very clear that this was over a game. This was over a hobby. This was all a fight over like be the right to play make believe with our friends.
Maybe make your voice very known about, I don't know, the Republican plan that just came out to raise the retirement age to 70. Like, that's not a good thing for anybody.
Go make us think about the fact that like the younger generations are probably just not going to be able to retire at all. Like, I don't think I'm going to be able to retire at all. Go make us think about the fact that, like, our generation, well, like, my generation, I'm not going to be able to own a home, probably. Like, or, like, it's very, very difficult for somebody in my generation to become a homeowner. And then, like, the younger generations are even more fucked. Like, go make us think about shit that, like, is actually life or death. I think that's actually the thing that's bothered me the most about this whole situation. Is, like, it's wonderful that we all care about this thing so much and that we're, making, protecting something that matters to us. But, like, at the end of the day, it's not life or death.
So why can't we make that noise about things that are life and death?
Right. Like, we can. It's just that the energy just needs to be sustained.
Like I said, the whole issue with organizing around, larger issues and stuff like that is because, people are just a lot more spread out and it's a lot harder to organize. But if you, like you said, you start at the ground level, you can absolutely make strides in, like, your community, your local community, if not spread that out to larger places. But again, I don't think we're going to make this a politics and economics podcast.
No, this
at
is
the
just
moment.
Me griping. This is just me shaking my fist at the kids on my lawn.
So then the
imaginary lawn, because again, I will never be able to have an actual lawn.
I'll be lucky if I get one too. We're looking. It's hard. So I guess the last thing to just, like, leave off on, we see where a lot of the community is at. Yeah, folks are like, happy that we won, unhappy with
untrustworthy.
Untrustworthy.
Untrusting.
Yeah, the community's pretty split on if, like, a lot of people are just, like, not going to purchase D&D and Wizards products out of spite. I've heard a lot of that. Of just, like, trust is broken, like, I'm not going to give them money because look at this backhanded thing they try to do. So I guess the last thing is just, like, our impressions, where are we at? I don't think either one of us are going to stop playing 5e, like, as a system. We've already got games going in that, and, like, abruptly jumping to another system, I don't think it's going to tell send a message to anyone about anything. Right. For me specifically, my situation is a little unique because I've already played, even though I started playing RPG stuff not too long ago, in, like, 2015, 2016, really. I used a bunch of other systems that weren't D&D as well. So, like, I explored really early on. I didn't get stuck on one. So I'm in the boat of, like, I can make the switch pretty easily. I know a lot of folks are just now exploring. Like, what about you, Lisa? You want to get that vampire campaign going?
The Masquerade one?
Yeah.
Oh, God. Yeah, it's just, there's, like, textbooks I have to read.
Reading that goddamn book.
Yeah. And it's finding the time to do that. Like, that's part of my issue, is just that, like, I don't have the time to really, like, start going through, other books and other systems. I kind of, it's also a little bit that I'm, like, a little too lazy.
You can look up, there are really, like, simple systems that are much simpler than D&D that you could look up. The Mecha Hack system is one I always push out there. I could literally teach you how to play that in 10 minutes.
Yeah, I think my point is just that, like, the issue is just one of convenience for me, where it's like, I already know this system.
I already know this.
And I don't have to do all that. I don't have to, like, strain my brain to go learn a whole other system.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, I don't know, if the spirit moves me, I'll go and I'll do it. Like, I'm not changing my approach to tabletop, to the hobby in general, which is, like, I'm gonna keep playing 5e, and if, like, the spirit moves me to try something new, then I will try something new. But yeah, that's not any different than what it was before. That's always been how I've like approached it. So
sure. And then I've heard people also talking about what to do with D&D subscriptions now, or D&D Beyond subscriptions now, because we made our point. We won in a way that they can't roll back. So like, should you get your D&D subscription? Yeah, exactly. If you really liked it before, which to be fair, it was a really good service. Like,
I'm gonna give it a few months. Also because like
I was gonna say, yeah.
If it's
it doesn't. So at this point, I don't think
it's one less thing for me to spend money on.
There's that. Like I don't think keeping like continuing to boycott D&D Beyond specifically after we've gotten what we wanted
is
like
any
in it.
Use.
Yeah, I don't think that's really serving any purpose in this case anymore, because I think having those subscriptions to take away again, like having that sort of Damocles over the company saying like, you fuck with us, you know what's going to happen. I think that's a good thing to have versus setting a new low for the subscriptions. Now just kind of reinforces their expectations, and they might just bump up the price to get that, higher stream of revenue from a lower amount of people. Let's see how that goes with 1D&D. But yeah, I think like morally, ethically, it's fine. But I also understand people who are just not going to resub out of spite. I've seen a lot of that, and I'm just like, I can't make a great a great argument to the contrary. Like if you're gonna do that out of spite, like there's no logic behind it. Like, yeah, you got burned. Like I can't talk you out of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm on the fence too. Like, get it back, don't. I have a lot of games going, but like I could probably be fine without it. That type of thing.
I'm also
if they
broke, so like one less thing for me to be spending money on. So.
If they make the move of like potentially increasing the benefits of the monthly subscription of just like not just more digital dice, but like you get access to like maybe a new adventure or whatever it is. It doesn't have to be a huge thing, but like a small new thing.
What would sell it for me is if they start including like digital codes in the books. So that you can, if you buy the physical,
I think they're doing
there's
that.
Like a code that, great. That's once that gets put in.
I think they lit it
that's my
before this whole OGL thing kicked off. They were either talking about or actually starting with some of the new books of you essentially buy one, you get the other. You buy the physical book, you get a code to have the digital book as well. Because yes, it's cool to have that physical book, all the art, it's nice to hold that in your hand, but also I want that online because it makes it so much more convenient for me and the players to just have all the stuff and not have to look it up and have bookmarks and all this crap.
Yeah. And also like in the past couple months through, other companies, we've seen like the importance of preserving physical media, because like even with D&D Beyond, like we've had like books, like which book was it? Oh my god, that got like taken away and changed.
Volos.
Yes.
At least they're good about their preservation because they keep the legacy versions of things on there too. So if you want to use that, you can, but they just mark it as legacy.
Yeah, if you have any like attachment to something out of that book, you can. If you have like the physical version of it, you still have the original version of it. Like if that's what you were playing with already, like I don't know. I'm back on buying DVDs. Like
I never stopped. To be fair,
I don't even have anything to play DVDs. I'm just back on buying DVDs. I'm back on buying physical CDs.
That's why I have a PS4. Just like back in the PS2 days, I needed a DVD player. Boom, got a PS2. Like of course it's one of the greatest systems ever made, but also like I didn't need to get a DVD player. Like there it was, right there. I could just play it on it. And honestly, that's why I got a PS3, because then I got a Blu-ray player, and I have a PS4, because, again, PS4 is pretty good, but I could play fucking discs on it.
Anyway, what's the point? The point is, like, Don't just.
That's not a great point.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the point.
I think the point is we actually made a difference. We actually won a battle. I don't think the war is over, but also I don't think there's anything to fight at the moment. I think it's the ever vigilant now. We are we're just always on guard for the next thing, and Wizards, you did this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I was just seeing how they're going to try to make amends.
Mm-hmm. If you're moving on to a new system or anything like that, go ahead and leave a comment. Go ahead and tweet us. Tell us what you're moving into that's not D&D, or how you're feeling about any of this. Go ahead, give us all the feedback. Yeah. It's cool. We want to hear, like I said, I polled a bunch of folks on Discord, and not a very positive feedback on what Wizards has done, obviously. So I want to see, give it a little time once this episode's come out, cool off a little bit. How are people thinking at that point? I guess it's time for the plugs.
Oh, God,
do you want to?
Yeah, patreon.com/oopsalldragons. Give us $1. Get on our Discord. Is it $5? It's $5. Get on our Discord. Hey, with that canceled D&D Beyond subscription, what you could subscribe to us.
Us to make this content.
And yeah,
you're gonna do that Earthsea episode.
That's where I'm gonna
very
start doing
soon.
my fantasy novel.
Fantasy novel book club between the two of us.
Yeah, we're gonna. Oh my God! Wait, hold on. Book club asterisk. Put a pin in that.
All right.
Book club for our Patreon subscriptions. I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah.
Get on our Discord. Tell us what we should do with our Patreon, because we're. Well, Varun's not dumb, but I'm dumb. I don't know what to do with that, and I want to be able to actually make that worth your while.
We've got the exclusive videos. We could do a fan game as well. I've seen other Patreons do that. Of just you get to a certain level, you want to play with us, you want to play a game, hell yeah. Get on that, and we'll do it.
Yeah, and then, in our Discord, we can always, talk about... That's actually... Our Discord's a great place to go find people to play with.
We've got a couple people just making up games there now.
Yeah, and, it's a great place to go in and say, hey, I'm trying to work on this game, I'm trying to figure out what to do with this. Great place to get second opinions on...
You want to grow it into a bigger version of that, yeah.
So...
Patreon, get at us at whatever social media you've got. We're pretty much on everything.
YouTube, Spotify,
Tumblr, apparently.
Tumblr is happening. Don't worry about it. Okay. I've been waiting for the OGL stuff to blow over because I don't want to have to be posting about that because I don't care.
Fair. I think even during it, you could post about, you know what? These frickin' drow. And these tieflings, I have things to say.
Nobody's talked about drow in a while. Anyways.
I think they got to take it over by tieflings on just the goths.
The edgy boy scale?
The edgy boy goth scale.
Yeah. Also, just there is. We'll have a drow episode. I don't want to get into it. But yeah, get on our things and do the thing, and
get on our things and do the thing.
Search google.com oopsalldragons.
YouTube is where we're really active, but if you want to get us on Spotify, you can give us that 5 stars. It always helps. Yeah. Comment, subscribe, just watch another video. Even all that helps with the algorithm. Yeah, just share us around.
Yeah. Okay. Bye.
Bye.
We're never going to talk about this shit ever again. Oops All Dragons is a group effort. Our editing is done by Noel Hernandez. Our theme was composed by Brendan Lyons, and our logo was by Azif On Q. Find us on YouTube and Spotify, and check us out on Twitter and Instagram at Oops All Dragons.